Are your family photos and videos falling just short of your expectations? Do you struggle to capture those perfect moments that truly reflect the beauty and emotions of your family? Well, then look no further, because that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to make your photos stand out and how to make your videos pop. So let's get started. Let's dive into the world of rule of thirds. Don't be square, follow the rule of thirds. All right, let's get ready to dive into this world about the rule of thirds. Using this composition technique will help elevate and be nothing short of magical when it comes to capturing your family photos and videos. Do you have that special secret sauce that you make? Well, consider this that spice. The rule of thirds is a spice to get your composition for your family photos and videos in your memories to just make that mouth-watering wow factor. But it's really kind of simple, because it's really just like what you see on the screen, a simple division of 9 boxes on your device, whether it be your smartphone or whether it be your camera. Just think of it like a tic-tac-toe board. And this playful thought here of having a tic-tac-toe board will help us to create that composition that will give balance to your photos, to your videos, to give a little bit of a dynamic feel to them as well. But at first, in order to make the best of this secret sauce, we need to add that tic-tac-toe board to your device. As you see here, I'm going to go through a couple of settings on how to add on your iPhone. You're going through the settings on your iPhone to get to that grid line, to put the grids on your device, on your display. Also on your Android phone, here are the settings and the steps to go through to get the grid lines put on Android phone if you're either one of those users. Really just kind of a guideline with getting the grid lines on your camera, because you're going to have a Nikon, you're going to have a Canon, you're going to have all the different brands, Sony, and they're all going to have different menu settings to get the display grid view on your device. So you'll have to kind of look at your device, your camera's manual, and find out what is the best way to get those grid lines on your camera. Let's talk about how we can implement the rule of thirds now into your photos, into your videos. I'm going to show a few photos on the screen here of some practical uses of just implementing this rule of third technique to create the composition. You want to put the subject of your photo into this intersecting cross points in this tic-tac-toe board. This tic-tac-toe board is more of a guide so that you can put the visual elements into a dynamic scene. You will draw the eyes or draw the viewer's eyes into this balanced photo. Here I'm sharing some shots with the grid lines so you can kind of understand what I'm talking about with the intersecting lines and using that balance. And maybe just changing the one of the beach with my wife. We're changing the angle just a tad to kind of provide that dynamic view of that photo. It's not just a flat standing here and trying to put it in the center. Even though it's unposed, it's a dynamic photo. But we're not just limiting this to photography. These rule of thirds can be applied to your family videos as well. Make sure that you are practicing this. Practical examples of just capturing family fun with video. No matter what device you're using, the tic-tac-toe grid lines, the rules of third can be applied. And as long as you're creating a visual lead into your subject of the video, you're going to create that dynamic. One thing that you will pick up on after you start putting into practice in video and photography is that you'll start to see where this is being done in the shows that you like to watch. You'll start to pick up on, wow, that's a use of the rules of third. That's a pretty cool perspective. Maybe I should try that direction next time. You want to kind of take advantage of the negative space and give a little bit of a lead into the negative space. So if someone is looking into or walking into a certain direction, you use the grid line, you use the rule of thirds, you use those lines to kind of give that negative space a direction. give that subject a direction into the negative space. There are many ways to do this. There's a whole bunch of other techniques, but just stick with the simple rule of thirds technique here that we're talking about today. We shouldn't skip over kind of the do's and don'ts when it comes to using the rule of thirds. You do want to create a visually balanced scene. You do want to position key subjects or people in those intersecting lines. Do use the grid lines, the tic-tac-toe board. Use that rule of third. Bring up the grid on your device to practice with it. Do make sure that you're capturing emotions. Make sure you're capturing everyday moments. Do practice. We want to make sure that you do practice this rule of thirds. In this video right here in the card, I've placed last week's video of how to make your photos amazing, and you can go into other composition techniques as far as angles and lighting and things of that nature, but do use those other composition techniques. That's one of the do's. Don'ts of the rules of thirds. Don't just stick your person in the center in this box right here. Don't just put them in this box and make sure your subject in there, that's where they are every time. Make sure that you're putting them to the side and bringing them up or bringing them down. Making sure that you are leading the eyes, and that brings more emotion and dynamic and more balance. So don't just put the person in the center of the view. Don't be afraid to change the angle when you're applying the rule of thirds, because you don't want to overcrowd the scene. You don't want to put a lot of elements on the screen so that it takes away from who and what you're taking a photo and video of, which is your family. Don't neglect those other composition tools. Using the leading lines or the framing in your composition. As you begin to capture your family moments and family memories, you'll learn to pick up on cues on when things will kind of happen and how things are going to happen. And with the practice of the leading lines and practice of the rules of thirds and how to compose photos, you be ready. Don't overlook the importance of the timing of capturing those moments. You'll be able to anticipate something about to happen. I'm going to be able to capture that candid moment and it be able to portray them into a fun or emotional state depending on what you're trying to capture. Don't hesitate to practice. Don't hesitate to have your camera out when you're on a family outing or at the kitchen table or having a meal with family, having a meal with friends, to pull the camera out and take pictures. But make sure that you're using the techniques. The key to understanding how the rule of thirds work is using the rule of thirds. I do have some recommended things that would help you on your journey. The Canon M50 is a really good camera. It's not very big, as you can see. It doesn't quite fold up into a pocket-sized camera like a point and shoot. It records video as well as taking great photos, and everything that you've seen in this video that I've used has been recorded or captured with this camera right here. And so it's been a really good camera to take with us. Accessory that I recommend that you take is you add a tripod. Now you can be just a tripod like this, where you could put it in to just set it on the table or onto a flat surface and have your camera sitting on top of it. You could get a gorilla pod like this, this is a Joby gorilla pod. It has the bendable legs where you could actually set the camera on it and then wrap it around the post. I also recommend a camera strap. One of the camera straps that I have is called the Peak Design here, and it has these little buckles on it right here that you can add to the camera, and it's for a quick connection and quick release as well. I'll have links to the camera and all the accessories that we recommend for you to use when you're out capturing your family fun. This recommended camera isn't technically going to elevate your game when it comes to taking photos. Use the camera that you have. I just recommend this camera because I bought it, I enjoy it, and I want to share with you something that is valuable to me when we are capturing our family photos and videos. But it's not going to help elevate your game. Yes, there are lots of camera gear out that are really great, and we will go over those in a future video, but right now just use the camera that you have. Is your cell phone, or whether it's a old camera like this, or if it's a brand new camera. Use what you have and start using the technique of rules of thirds to elevate your photos and video. In this video right here, we're going to be going over ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, and I think you'll get a lot of great input on that. That will be coming out in our next video over here. We have this video right here if you want to elevate your game into other composition techniques. I'll see you there.